I was not going to comment on the recent presidential debate. Wasn't my plan, but I did watch it like most of you in this audience, I'm sure, watched it. And I watched it. As I watched it, it really occurred to me how relevant it is to the rule of law, how relevant it is to your Leo Nation law enforcement officer. We're watching, observing a contest for the top Leo, the top law enforcement officer in the country, the chief executive officer, the commander in chief. Uh, and it's so relevant to what we talk about on this show on a regular basis. So, when you think about three branches of government, you obviously you have the legislative, you have the judicial, and you have the executive, the people who actually enforce the law. I want you to think about this that Joe Biden is the commander in chief. He is the president of the United States. And whatever your political persuasion may be, try to put that aside just for a moment. Don't care if you're conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, independent, decline to state, whatever it may be. I want you to think about this that he took a full week to prepare for that debate. A full week. And from what we can tell, I mean, he was thoroughly and completely sequestered from what we know from the rest of his duties as president, as commander in chief, as the top Leo in this country. He took a week to prepare for this debate. Now, this man has been president for 3.5 years. 3.5 years. You would think that most of the things that were likely to be talked about or asked of the respective candidates would almost be second nature to a person who's been in that position for 3.5 years. Now, this was 90 minutes. There was no editing that we know of. No reason to believe there was any editing of this. This was unfiltered Joe Biden in front of America, uh, contrasted to his opponent or with his opponent in front of these moderators, who, by the way, I think they did a pretty good job. I was a skeptic, but I mean, they did a pretty good job. We all saw with our own eyes. I'm not telling this audience anything that you don't know, that you're not aware of. We've seen the pundits, we've seen the comments all over social media from CNN, from Fox News, from MSNBC, from ABC, the Wall Street Journal, Los Angeles Times. All they're forced to read about how poorly Joe Biden did. Now, again, I'm not interested in piling on about his performance. That's not my point. My point is, for the most part, these are the same people, the same, by the way, same DNC, the same delegates, the same super donors, the same mainstream media that for the last several weeks and beyond that, but let's just say several weeks for purposes of this discussion, have been telling us that the images and the videos, the audios that we've seen, that we have observed of Joe Biden have been manipulated, have been taken out of context. They have told us over and over and over, including the press secretary for the Biden administration. We've been told over and over and over that what we're seeing in the behavior of Joe Biden is manipulated, that right wing media and other people who don't like the president are feeding us mis and disinformation. I think that anybody with, I'll say, an open mind, you don't even have to have an open mind. You have to have two brain cells to slap together, I'd say, saw in this debate what the truth is. Not something surprising to me, and I'm sure not something surprising to most people listening to this podcast right now, that Joe Biden is in serious, serious decline.